on Cronkite News, an organization in Phoenix is doing what they can to support those injured in the conflict in Ukraine.
Plus, a project aimed at helping moms overcome obstacles is actively working in Navajo County. We'll have more on their mission and the difference they're making.
And later on Break It Down, it's been more than 50 years since Title IX passed. We look at whether inequalities between female and male sports still exist.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Kelly Donahue.
And I'm Atria Mineshny. Thank you for joining us. President Biden met with China's president today in a 2-hour video call to discuss the war in Ukraine. President Biden hoped to convince Beijing to not give any military or economic help to Russia. According to the White House, Biden said Chinese firms will pay a major price if China backs Russia. But China was the first one to discuss the call afterwards. They said conflict is, quote, not in anyone's interest, but didn't assign any blame to Russia.
In the 3 weeks since the start of the conflict, reports say Russia launched nearly 1,100 missiles, most recently striking an airport not far from the Polish border. Here's some footage of the smoke rising after that strike. An agency with the UN believes almost 6.5 million people in Ukraine have been displaced. That's in addition to the 3.2 million that fled the country. Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin held a rally. More than 200,000 people gathered in or near the stadium to mark the 8th anniversary of the annexation of Crimea, which was deemed illegal by the Ukrainian government.
People across the world are finding ways to help the Ukrainian effort, whether it's through direct monetary support or volunteer efforts. Luke Vickery visited Project Cure, a nonprofit with a distribution center in Arizona that is doing their part to help the citizens of Ukraine.
Project Cure provides medical supplies and equipment to locations in need. With more than 2,400 containers of medical supplies shipped all over the world, right now their focus is on Ukraine. The leadership at Project Cure saw an opportunity to help after getting numerous requests for medical supplies from Ukrainian doctors.
You see any crisis on the international news, we're there.
The organization works to help anyone that is in need of medical supplies internationally, and currently, Ukraine is the main focus.
Really having to do with wounds, bandages, tourniquets, surgical tools.
Once these medical supplies are donated, it's up to the volunteers to do the rest.
So currently we're working on just sorting different medical supplies and items that we get shipped in and donated from different hospitals around the valley.
And a lot of the shipments that are going to be at Ukraine are sitting on the loading dock right here behind me. But some of those shipments have been delayed because of the situation over there abroad.
And the port that we've always shipped to was Odessa, but Odessa was overwhelmed by Russian troops and bombed. And so that really created delays in the containers that we were trying to get into Ukraine.
Project Cure found a resolution by shipping to areas bordering Ukraine.
Poland has become a hub where we finally did get it shipped. Thank God.
Once Poland ships the supplies to Ukraine, Sanchez says they're distributed to the military, who gets them in the hands of the people who need them, making all this work worth it to the volunteers.
To help them and help heal somebody else. It's such an amazing but small part that I don't see, but when it gets there and it's delivered, it makes a huge difference to them.
If you would like to help, you can find opportunities to volunteer or donate on their website at projectcure.org. In the studio, Luke Vickery, Cronkite News.
Arizona drivers are paying a lot more to fill up their tanks as gas prices continue to rise. Some are asking for the state to provide some relief. The state's 18 cents per gallon tax could be suspended, which would save the average Arizona driver over $100 per year on gas. But Governor Doug Ducey is against suspending the gas tax. He says suspending the gas tax would mean a $540 million per year loss to the Arizona Highway User Revenue Fund. One program is helping mothers and their families in Navajo County. Cronkite News reporter Molly McBride explains how this program works and why it is making a difference among low-income families.
The Mama Project helps moms experiencing barriers get ahead. One of its main goals is to move them from poverty to prosperity.
1 year ago, Kelsey Callahan was struggling to feed her family, homeless with 2 young kids.
I'm not looking for a handout. I've always been very independent, but I just kind of needed help being steered in the right direction.
Callahan was working at a coffee shop in Pine Top when she heard about the Mama Project. She applied, interviewed, and was accepted into the program that same day.
I was very alone and in a dark, depressive state. And coming here, I met one of my best friends.
Women 25 to 35 years old and children ages 6 to 11 make up the 2 largest demographics living in poverty in Navajo County. The Mama Project gives single mothers living in poverty the support they need to get back on their feet.
The mental health component of having other women who are going through the same things that you're going through is really helpful.
Mama Project Program Coordinator Molly McGavick can relate to the moms on a personal level. She was a single mom in Navajo County and struggled to provide the basic needs for her and her children.
Having something like this program when I was a single mom would have been super beneficial for me.
In this building right behind me, single mothers will gather every week for class, all with the same goals: to better their lives for themselves and their children.
They get to know you and your struggles, and they help you survive it and keep your children by your side. This program helps you realize that there are actual people out there that want to help.
The Mama Project is a 1-year program. It focuses on helping moms achieve stability for their families by connecting them to a community of moms going through the same struggles. They help moms find jobs, medical and mental health resources, and childcare. Callahan graduated from the project last year, and her life has changed drastically.
Through this program, I went from homeless and barely making any money to making good enough money to survive on and having my own home for my kids and myself. So it's crazy.
This time around, Callahan's younger sister is a part of the program, and she says she's excited to see the progress her sister will make. In the studio, Molly McBride, Cronkite News.
Sales of previously owned homes across the U.S. fell 7.2% last month from January. That's according to the National Association of Realtors. They say the number of existing homes sold dropped to an adjusted annual rate of just slightly over 6 million. That's lower than experts anticipated. And the reason? Fewer homes available for sale, along with rising prices and mortgage rates. Median home prices also increased to just over $357,000. That's up by 15% from the last time last year.
With summer quickly approaching, the city still needs hundreds of lifeguards. Last summer, the city of Phoenix was unable to open all of their pools because of a shortage of workers. Reporter Molly Hudson went to one pool in Phoenix where the effort to get lifeguards trained was making a splash.
Being a lifeguard is a job that you look back on when you're an adult and say, that was the best job I ever had.
Aquatic supervisor for the city of Phoenix, Becky Hewlett, says having the city's 29 pools open for the summer ensures access to swim lessons and water safety education.
One of our missions in the city of Phoenix is to teach kids how to swim and reduce that drowning rate. And so that impact will be felt across the community.
The city wants to make sure as many people have access to pools close to home, so the Parks Department needs to get lifeguards trained and certified.
You have to get certified in a lifeguard certification, which includes the lifeguard skills portion of it, as well as CPR AED for the professional rescuer, which is basic life support. It also includes first aid and bloodborne pathogen certification.
In addition to the hourly pay of just over $14 an hour, the City of Phoenix announced a $2,500 incentive to reimburse people for the cost and time of lifeguard certification. This makes the hourly pay about $21 an hour.
So we are offering certification courses at a reduced rate of $20 for the class instead of $85.
Certification is a series of 5 classes. Candidates must pass the first class before moving on to the others. The initial class requires 300 yards of continuous swimming, treading water for 1 minute without using your hands, and retrieving a 10-pound brick from the bottom of a 12-foot pool.
You have the opportunity to learn how to work as a team, so teamwork and leadership and life safety skills, things that you'll carry on throughout your life.
Hewlett remembers her time as a lifeguard.
Once a lifeguard, always a lifeguard.
In Phoenix, Molly Hudson, Cronkite News.
You must be 15 years old to become a lifeguard. For more information and to apply, visit phoenix.gov/lifeguard.
With the weather heating up across the valley, it may be just the perfect time to head down to the pool for a swim. Luke Vickery joins us now in the Cronkite News Weather Center with more on what we can expect from the Arizona heat coming our way.
Good afternoon, Arizona. Looking at Futurecast right now, you can see we have two storm cells right here, and both of these are actually going to move off to the east. And as we move into later Sunday, we actually could have some chances for some snow and ice up towards the east. But looking here in Arizona right now, most of that will not be affecting us. As you can see, we'll have a little bit of cloud cover moving into Sunday night and a little bit of chance for some rainfall up towards the higher terrain. But that is mostly it for us moving into our weekend. Now, why that is happening, low pressure will be making its way down towards the valley, and that's what's going to be the driving force for most of this chance of rainfall that we'll see in the higher terrain, and maybe even a little bit of chance of rainfall in the Phoenix area, but not likely. But soon after, high pressure will make its way in, and that's what's going to really warm up our temperatures for the remainder of next week. Now, as we move on to more of the current time, 80 degrees coming soon, and as we move later into the night, 69 degrees at 10 p.m. And if you were awake last night, if you're a night out, we did have the worm and the super moon last night, which is the full moon that's associated with the spring coming on Sunday. And although we will not have a worm and a super moon tonight, it will still look big and bright if you look towards the horizon later tonight. And as we move on to high temperatures for tomorrow, 86 degrees in Phoenix, 55 up towards Flagstaff, 85 in Tucson. And looking at the 8-day forecast, spring 73 degrees when that low pressure comes in, brings down our temperatures. And we will finish the week off with 91 degrees on Saturday for the high, which could be our first 90-degree day of the year. In the Cronkite News Weather Center, I'm Luke Vickery.
I'm Hayden Weber. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. We'll take a look at Arizonans going mad in the sports book during March next.
What you get from Washington Week that you will not get anywhere else are the best and the brightest reporters from different media companies, and they're able to have a real conversation about things that are happening in Washington and around the country. But it's also a show about issues that are relevant to different communities. How do you think that, as the moderator, I feel this deep responsibility to bring in those other perspectives so that people understand how power and politics impact their daily lives?
Friday nights at 7 on Arizona PBS.
Welcome back. I'm Hayden Weber with your Cronkite Sports Report. March Madness is underway, and Arizona's men's team tipped off this afternoon against Wright State. The Wildcats are one of the youngest teams in the tournament. Head coach Tommy Lloyd says they're going to use that to their advantage.
I mean, I can't think of a team this young, that we had, and maybe there is a benefit. I know, Steve Kerr and I were having a conversation a while back, and he was just telling me how cool it is to go through it the first time, and for him, when they made that run to the NBA Finals his first year, and he just told me, there's a beautiful innocence about it because you haven't been institutionalized yet.
For the first time in the history of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, sports betting is legal in Arizona, and the bets are rolling in. Cronkite News reporter Parker Gray has more on what Arizona sportsbooks are anticipating this March.
Since sports betting was legalized in Arizona back in September 2021, bettors in the state have placed their fair share of bets on the World Series, Super Bowl, and countless other sporting events. Now it's college basketball's turn, March Madness.
The first weekend of the NCAA tournament is the second most bet upon sporting event behind the Super Bowl. And if you add up the 2 days, it actually produces more sports betting revenue usually than the Super Bowl.
Like the Super Bowl, March Madness draws in the casual fan. Whether it's an office pool or a group of friends and family, everyone wants to be the one to make that perfect bracket. This March, the casual fan may place their first bet.
Last year, the total in the United States in the month of March was $4.6 billion. Obviously, since then, Arizona's come online. So we here at betarizona.com expect Arizona to probably be 4th or 5th in the country in terms of revenue in March, right around where they have been.
With the U Arizona men's basketball team as a top seed and the women's team seeded 4th, bets for both teams are expected to pile up in the state.
So I see Arizona men's and women's basketball being a huge generator of revenue in March. I think both teams are going to make it easily into the second weekend, at least, maybe even to that Final Four level. And I think that's going to be huge.
While Arizona hasn't made it into a men's Final Four in over 20 years, they have the second best odds behind Gonzaga to win the championship this year. With Gonzaga on the opposite end of the bracket, the path may be open for the Wildcats. In Phoenix, Parker Gray, Cronkite News.
The Wildcats aren't the only team from Arizona competing in the postseason today. Arizona State Wrestling took to the mat in day 2 of the national championships today in Detroit. Let's take a look at the standings after yesterday. After day 1's action, the Sun Devils sit in second place with 22 points, 5.5 points behind first place Penn State and a half point ahead of third place. The championships will continue all day tomorrow, with the championship rounds being tomorrow night. The Phoenix Suns have won 3 straight games and are now 6 wins away from tying the franchise record of 62 wins in a season. Here's what Jay Crowder had to say about chasing history.
Obviously, that's a great thing to have, a franchise record, be a part of history. But I think we're looking at the bigger picture, looking at the playoff picture and looking at seeding and stuff like that.
That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Kelly.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.